I think this is not only, obviously, the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career, but in a career that's filled with almost nothing but huge fights, this is the biggest fight of Canelo Álvarez's career.
A lot stronger, and I think he's going to have better endurance. Not being able to boil himself down like that, and even though it is a huge jump, I think we lose sight of the fact of how much he had to boil down and how gaunt he looked at one point.
You said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
Well, you know how to box. When you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter much.
In anticipation of the explosive showdown between Canelo Álvarez and Terence Crawford, Max Kellerman has delivered his final take on the matchup. As part of Netflix's elite broadcast team assembled for this mega boxing spectacle, Kellerman brings his trademark sharp analysis and historical perspective to what promises to be one of the sport's most consequential events.
A great chin. But in terms of if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the big.
Kellerman isn't holding back, calling the Canelo Álvarez versus Terence Crawford clash the most watched championship fight in nearly 50 years. He draws a parallel to the legendary Muhammad Ali Leon Spinks rematch in 1978, which attracted an astonishing 90 million television viewers. According to Kellerman, with Netflix broadcasting, this fight represents more than just another mega matchup. It signals a fundamental shift in boxing's reach and business model, with the potential to multiply viewership far beyond traditional pay-per-view numbers.
But like, where would you rank this fight out of your top 3 to 5 of all the boxing fights you've called, you've experienced, you've watched?
In terms of the magnitude of the
magnitude,
fight?
yeah.
I mean, of the fights that I've called ringside, it might turn out to be number 1. I've done Pacquiao fights, I've done Mayweather fights, I've done Anthony Joshua against Klitschko. Those are big fights, but listen, because of Netflix, this will be the most watched fight, championship fight, in almost 50 years. This is going to be because Muhammad Ali fought Leon Spinks in the rematch in 78, and they did 90 million TV sets. 90 million. And since then, what has even come close? The biggest fights have all been on pay-per-view, and they do 2 million buys. Oh my God, 4 million buys, Mayweather Pacquiao. As I keep saying, if 5 people per TV set watch, that's 20 million people. This is going to do multiples of that. So when you look at it from like a commercial point of view, it'll easily be the biggest boxing event I've ever called.
Fight promoter Dana White confirmed in a recent press conference that Kellerman will return to broadcast booth as part of Netflix's official commentary team for the highly anticipated Canelo versus Crawford showdown on September 13th, 2025. Kellerman, a veteran boxing analyst renowned for his work on ESPN and HBO, will join John Anik and Hall of Famer Andre Ward in calling the action live from Allegiant Stadium. This marks a significant comeback to televised boxing for Kellerman, who called the fight the perfect storm at a press event. He declared that Canelo Álvarez and Terence Crawford stand among the very best pound-for-pound fighters of this era, noting that Crawford currently has his vote for the top spot, while Alvarez held that distinction universally until recently. Kellerman emphasized how rare it is for 2 fighters of such caliber collide, remarking that historically, only about 25 to 30 boxers have ever been recognized as pound-for-pound kings, and both Canelo and Crawford now occupy that exclusive tier.
I'm going to bring up the first member of our broadcast team. He is the best boxing analyst in the sport. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Kellerman.
All right, so I know you guys are excited about this fight. but I don't think you understand what a big deal it is. This is a perfect storm, First of all, Turki Al-Sheikh, we're lucky he happens to be a boxing fan. None of this happens if he doesn't happen to be a boxing fan. It's just none of us are here. Nick Khan, best in the business. Dana White is the greatest combat sports promoter of my lifetime. And it's his first ever boxing promotion. So that's who's behind what you're going to see. Do you know how best pound for pound fighter in the world? The most recent one. Bud Crawford. Apologies to the monster and Usyk. Bud Crawford has my vote for best pound for pound. Who was the best pound for pound before Bud? Canelo Álvarez, universally recognized that way. But it's not just these two guys, the last two best pound for pound fighters in the world. There haven't been that many. Before Canelo, who do you have? Before Canelo, Floyd or Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather. Before, you could take the lineage back. There have only been, 25 or 30 fighters who ever lived who you said that's the best pound for pound fighter in the world. These are two of them, the last two. And they're going to fight in Las Vegas on September 13th. Canelo is 62-2 with 2 draws, 62-2-2. So was Marvin Hagler when Sugar Ray Leonard moved up to fight him, and they produced one of the biggest spectacles in the history of boxing. This fight is a perfect storm. I could not be more excited to be a part of it.
Former world champion Timothy Bradley Jr. predicts that the opening round of Canelo versus Crawford will be less explosive than fans might expect, resembling instead a calculated chess match. Bradley foresees both fighters exercising caution early, carefully testing each other's rhythm, timing, and distance. He points out that Crawford has a history of pacing himself in big fights, patiently laying traps, while Canelo often uses the early rounds to size up his opponents and make adjustments. Bradley concludes that the first round will likely serve as a strategic information gathering phase before the action intensifies in later rounds.
His punching power as well. In the beginning, it's all the position balance. Like both guys are going, trying to get balanced and trying to find their rhythm, understanding their distance to where they can punch and at the same time avoid getting hit. It takes Crawford a little bit more time than I would say Canelo to get right to it. Canelo, although he is a prolific counterpuncher, fantastic counterpuncher, he tends to find his spots a lot quicker. And the indication of that is when, if you look at any of the boxers that Canelo has faced, Trout, even Danny Jacobs, even when he fought against Charlo, you just check out the first round. He usually takes off, just feels the power, cruises, see what these guys know, a couple of feints, level changes, gathering information, right? Crawford does the same and similar things. So I think the first round's going to be a real, calm and cautious round by both fighters. But in the second round, Canelo's going to start applying that pressure. Key engagement with Crawford is a little bit more difficult than a Charlo, okay? Now let me explain. So pre-engagement is the movements before you get into that sweet spot, which is mid-range, to be able to let your hands in, right? Both guys are trying to counter each other's movement. Both guys are looking at each other's, hands, trying to anticipate what they believe is going to come next. During those periods right there, Crawford is one of the best at it, okay? Because he's smart, he's cerebral. Like a fighter to a fighter, we can feel when another fighter is like, oh, he's on my rhythm.
WBC lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson remains steadfast in his belief that Terence "Bud" Crawford will defeat Canelo and perhaps even stop him. Stevenson has consistently highlighted Crawford's elite skill set, his speed, ring IQ, and southpaw stance as decisive advantages. Going further, Stevenson has warned fans that Crawford could cook Canelo, suggesting a potentially one-sided display. Notably, Stevenson first voiced his bold prediction as early as 2021 and has repeatedly doubled down since, insisting that Crawford's precision and adaptability make him the logical pick in this historic matchup.
I think Bud gonna beat Canelo. I think he's gonna cook him. I think, Canelo a hell of a fighter, but I think Bud just got other tools.
You don't think the weight difference be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, in certain fights,
Boxing makes it something.
like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud, so that would like apply. But I feel like with Canelo, he's like physically kind of big, but like height-wise, he's kind of small. So I don't think so. No. I think that's possible. Like I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but I think it's a possibility if Canelo gets to acting out of line and not understanding that Bud could crack too.
Crawford's unanimous decision victory over Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds was not merely another addition to his record. It was a transformative moment that elevated his legacy. In capturing the WBA junior middleweight title during his divisional debut, Crawford became a 4-division world champion, entering a rarefied group of boxing elites. More remarkably, he is now the first male fighter in the 4-belt era to achieve undisputed status in 2 divisions, super lightweight and welterweight. This achievement underscores his unmatched versatility and enduring excellence. By outclassing Madrimov, a fighter known for size and physicality, Crawford proved that his ring IQ, timing, and defensive brilliance translate seamlessly to heavier divisions. The performance reassured fans and analysts alike that Crawford is not merely surviving at higher weights, but thriving, cementing his reputation as one of the most versatile and dangerous fighters of the modern era.
2024. He spent from 2018 until August of 2024, right? 6 years at 147. Okay? He's had 8 fights at 147. All knockouts. And 1 fight at 154, which is the unanimous decision over Israel Madrimov. So you can make the case he's actually a welterweight jumping to 168. But he did make a pit stop at 54 and became a champion. So we have to acknowledge that, because that goes into his accomplishment. That makes him a 4-division champion. So the concern is Terence Crawford jumping up in weight. This is a weight class that Canelo Álvarez has now been in since 2020. He's been at this weight for 5 years when he made his debut against Caleb Smith. But remind you, he fought against Danny Jacobs at 160 in 2019. Then in November of 2019, he jumped to 75 and fought Sergey Kovalev, then came back down to 68. So it's doable, right? But with that said, everybody's concerned with the weight, how Terence Crawford puts on the weight. So let's explain. As you see the new photos that Terence Crawford has leaked, Terence Crawford has 3 bolts. Okay, as you see here, Terence Crawford, right? He has lean bolts. Okay, he put the bulk on in his weight, in his legs, and in his shoulder to be able to take the punch.
Trainer Dave Caldwell has also highlighted Crawford's unique style, pointing to his seamless ability to switch stances and his masterful footwork that allows him to control distance. Caldwell regards Crawford's leg movement as one of his most underrated assets, enabling him to create angles, frustrate opponents, and dictate the pace of fights. Against a pressure fighter as strong and calculated as Canelo, Caldwell believes Crawford's mobility and tactical movement could prove decisive. He argues that if Crawford can avoid being trapped on the ropes, he possesses the tools to outmaneuver Alvarez and steadily accumulate points.
Trainer Dave Caldwell also highlights Crawford's unique style, emphasizing his ability to switch stances seamlessly and use his footwork to control distance. According to Caldwell, Crawford's leg movement is one of his most underrated tools, allowing him to create angles, frustrate opponents, and dictate the rhythm of fights. Against a powerful pressure fighter like Canelo, Caldwell believes these attributes could be the key to success. He explains that if Crawford can maintain mobility and avoid being trapped against the ropes, he has the tools to outmaneuver Canelo and rack up points.
When the fight got made, I've always fancied Crawford. just think different. There's something about him. I think if you add what Crawford's good at, his game, he can switch. He's very good as southpaw. His judgment at distance is fantastic. His punch picking is fantastic. He's got good legs. When you add what, and he can pop. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's got the power to hurt Canelo, but he might have the power to surprise Canelo a little bit, sting him and just. But when you look at what Crawford does well, and then I look at this version of Canelo, as Canelo's got on, his punch rate's gone down. His feet, never been the fastest, but he's always had good placement of feet. His feet aren't the fastest. And he loads up. And he don't really like boxing at a pace. So I kind of look at that and I think Crawford can manage his way through the fight to win it on points. I think he can manage moments, tough moments. When Canelo detonates a big shot on him, he's going to know about it because Crawford's been out before. When Crawford gets hit, does get hit. That's why he's excited. Does get hit. So that means Canelo could land on it. I just think that Canelo will land a bomb. Crawford knows enough to tie up. To get up.
Veteran trainer and analyst Teddy Atlas adds another dimension to the discussion, noting that Crawford hasn't learned how to lose yet. Atlas emphasizes that Crawford combines elite technical skills, speed, defense, adaptability, with unshakable mental toughness. His refusal to accept defeat, Atlas argues, is what separates him from most fighters. It is this inner resilience and psychological strength, coupled with supreme confidence, that elevates Crawford when the stakes are highest. Atlas insists these intangible qualities make Crawford not only highly skilled, but also perilously formidable.
Crawford, his composure going to be like the moment a punch lands on him from Canelo.
Are you kidding me? Take that question back.
Yeah, why?
Because you're talking about Crawford.
But weight classes,
he's the most composed guy. Wait, you don't think he'll be prepared? You think it'll be a shock to him? No. You think it'll be, oh my God, I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. That ain't happening with Crawford. Yeah. He knows exactly what he's getting himself and why. He's the one looking for it. He don't have nobody with a gun behind him saying you got to go do this. He's the one. And look, it's a tremendous challenge because Canelo's a tremendous fighter and bigger and strong, and he can obviously he can punch and he can time you and he can do all the things that have made him so special. There's no doubt about it. But we're forgetting about those things I just talked about with Crawford just because he's smaller. We're forgetting that. He'll come up with a game plan where he won't let the other guy use his size. Do you remember somebody named Manny Pacquiao when he was making his bones, the first time he hit the big stage? He got all these great fighters here. It was with a guy named Oscar De La Hoya, a hell of a fighter. And everyone said, oh, it'd be too small for him. And then I said, I gotta say, I got one right. I said, how about Manny's going to be too fast for him? Oh, Teddy, you guys, how about he's going to be too quick? How about he's going to be like a couple of those mosquitoes and gnats at a barbecue and disrupt the whole damn barbecue? How about that? Yeah. Well, how about Crawford disrupts the whole damn barbecue?
Meanwhile, opinions about Canelo Álvarez often swing to extremes, either dismissing his accomplishments by attacking the quality of his opponents or glorify his record without question. Critics point to selective matchups and catchweight arrangements, while Canelo counters that meaningful fights require two willing participants. He argues that many challengers step into the ring merely to survive, rather than to compete at his level. This polarization highlights both the complexity of Canelo's legacy and the intensity of the debate as he prepares to face Crawford in one of the most highly anticipated fights of this generation.
It's just a fact. Canelo has fought the who's who, sure. Were all of them in their prime? No, but that's not his fault. He moved up in weight to fight some people. He sought out difficult opponents and matchups. You know, the same way he was like, oh, Floyd didn't necessarily fight some of the best names in his resume at the best time in their career. Not his fault. Floyd went up and sought people out. So Canelo's sitting there like, yeah, I don't give a shit. And he's pretty much the only guy that can really say that right now.
I feel I'm the best, and that's it. I don't focus on if the people say or put me in the first position. I'm the best. I feel I'm the best. I'm doing because I love boxing.
I call Canelo out because, like I said, he the last great fighter amongst the era that surpassed us. This is my mega fight. This is my moment.
You didn't have much interest in this Crawford fight. You were saying that there wasn't much in it for you, and you pointed out that people will say that he was too small. What changed?
I think he's one of the best fighters for what fun. No, he accomplished a lot of things too. Mexican with the American fighter is always big.
When he fights you at Allegiant Stadium,
Canelo's like, I knew the money was crazy. That's why he's like, yeah, I knew that the Mexican fighter versus the American fighter. Canelo can draw. Allegiant Stadium. That's what it is. I mean, yes, there's the element of greatness involved as well. But Canelo knew he was getting a bag for this. Canelo knew that Terence had to do all the difficult stuff. Let's be honest about it. This is why I favor Canelo in the